Hello, welcome to the Comics and More podcast. I'm Dave Ferraro from Comics and More.
And I'm Patrick Markfort from Articulate Nerd. This week we're going to be discussing one of my personal favorite comic books, the wonderful Savage Dragon by Erik Larsen, his long-running series from Image Comics. So specifically we're going to be talking about Savage Dragon number 175, a special anniversary issue which was just released recently. And we're also going to be talking about an interesting anthology that was released called Twisted Savage Dragon Funnies. This is not part of the regular series, but rather an anthology where a bunch of alternative cartoonists give their take on the character and his universe. So we'll talk a bit more about that one in a little bit. But first, our review of Savage Dragon number 175. So there's the cover, kind of a little Buck Rogers kind of homage kind of thing going on there. Now, we don't want to give a complete overview of the Savage Dragon series, or certainly you don't want me to give a whole overview.
No, we don't.
But I think we do need to get just a little bit of backstory out of the way to discuss this 175th issue.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, what's important to know if you haven't been following the book recently is that in the past couple of years, they introduced a storyline into Savage Dragon in which Dragon, the main character of the book, basically turned evil, or rather reverted to his original evil persona of Emperor Kerr, the alien despot who had been intending to conquer the Earth until his own people rebelled against him and left him without his memories in a burning vacant lot. So Dragon had been, a hero for years and years, the hero of the book, but he began to, after a complex series of events, regain his memories of having been this evil character, Emperor Kerr, and turned against all of his friends and really did a lot of bad things. And the whole thing culminated with basically Dragon being killed off, and his son, his teenage son, Malcolm, along with Malcolm's sister, Angel, basically taking over as the stars of the book. So for the past several months, Savage Dragon has not been about Dragon. It's been about Dragon's son, Malcolm, kind of coming into his own as a hero, and having his own adventures and kind of stepping up as the new star of the book. So, the 175th issue actually features the return of the original Dragon. And he's back to his heroic persona that we knew for years and years. He's resurrected here by Dark Lord, a time-traveling villain, who obviously has, the power to bring Dragon back somehow. They don't really explain that in a whole lot of detail. Yeah. But that's kind of the big thing of this issue. Malcolm's been the star of the book, and now this is the return of the original Dragon. So he's brought back by Dark Lord and the aliens, the other green fin-headed aliens, who are part of Dragon's race and who had rebelled against him in his evil persona as Kerr. So they are the ones who bring him back. They're off on this big, massive ship looking for a new homeworld. And they bring Dragon back, and he encounters his other son. Malcolm is his son on Earth with a human woman, but he also, as Kerr, had fathered a son who lives on this spaceship. So he encounters his son, and there's a lot of friction there. Dragon, of course, has a lot of conflicted feelings and guilt about the recent events that have happened on Earth. But he's the Dragon we've known and loved for years and years. So he battles a big alien monster on the surface of the planet at one point. He goes to bed with a gorgeous alien woman who's on the ship. So it's definitely the Dragon we know and love back to his old habits. And at the very end of the issue, he comes to a decision about what his life is going to be going forward. Although his place in the book, I feel like, is still kind of ambiguous. I don't know if it, Dragon will now be the star, Malcolm will still be the star. They'll go back and forth, so we'll have to see. But unusual for Savage Dragon, there's no subplots in this issue. Usually Dragon is a book with a lot of characters and a lot going on, and we usually get little glimpses of various things going on in the world. This one focuses just on Savage Dragon. So it's really kind of a special look at what he's doing and what he's been up to. And kind of a cool way to go for the anniversary, I thought. There's a few backup stories with some of the other characters, but not too much. It's not too much of an overstuffed anniversary issue of the kind that Erik Larsen sometimes does. It's a 48-page issue, but I do think focusing that story just on Dragon, a character we really haven't seen in his original persona, at least for a long time, was a great treat for fans. And I really enjoyed it. No surprise, because I really enjoy pretty much every issue of Erik Larsen's Savage Dragon. I think it's in my opinion, the best superhero comic that's currently coming out. So, of course, I like this issue.
Yeah. I like this issue, too. I did like that it was very focused.
Yep.
And I did, I'm not a big Malcolm fan. I don't really care for him.
Dragon's son.
Yeah, so I'm really happy to see Savage Dragon back. Like you said, we don't know what the issues are going to look like going forward, if it's going to go back and forth or what. But I'm definitely a fan of Dragon being back, in this issue at least. With Erik Larsen, I mean, he definitely has a following that loves this, convoluted storyline that he is going on, with lots of characters. Everybody has their fans. Like, I love Hortus. So, I was happy to see her come in last issue.
Yep, and the book has been going for years, and I've been reading it since its inception.
Since you were little, yeah.
Yeah, and the characters age in real time, and Erik Larsen has been doing it issue after issue, nonstop, no breaks, this entire time. So, yeah, this big, complex storyline has built up, but it's really rewarding, especially if you've been reading it for that long. I mean, because Malcolm, who's now the star of the book, a teenager, I read the book when he was born, when he was a little baby, So it's neat to see characters actually grow up and inherit their parents' mantles.
And for a long time you didn't know the origin of Dragon, where he came from. You just knew that he woke up in this field. And I think Erik Larsen did a good job coming up with a cool backstory. He really paid that off, and it's continuing to pay off. Yeah,
well, I think that the whole Emperor Dragon and War of the Dragons and all that, the past couple years that led to Dragon turning evil and Malcolm taking over the start of the book, was a high point of the series. I think the high point, and there's been a lot of high points in my opinion.
I mean, there was a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of characters came into it at those points, but it was focused. Like Emperor Dragon, there were a lot of things going on, but it was focused on Dragon turning evil. You know what I mean? With the recent issues with Malcolm, though, I just feel like he kind of lost his focus again, and
there's not really one thing holding it together.
It's just, I feel like it's been kind of a mess the last couple of issues, and I was just happy to see him just concentrating on one thing again. And I hope his writing goes back to that focused, but kind of pulling in those elements that his fans love.
Yeah. I feel like Erik Larsen isn't a character or an artist who just has a lot of ideas, and they're kind of it is kind of all over the place a lot of time. I mean, for me, I kind of like that kind of throw it all at the wall, see what sticks approach to it. But you're right in that the Dragon War storyline and the Emperor Dragon storyline and this particular issue were focused on a particular point and maybe stronger for it. So.
And I understand that Malcolm's trying to find his place in the world now, as
I like
hero.
the Malcolm, and I like the new Malcolm issues.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like Erik Larsen's trying to establish something there, but nothing is very interesting, I feel like. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, though.
We'll see how it is going forward, but this was a good issue.
This was a good issue.
Yeah.
More Dragon.
And also, I think because it didn't have so many subplots, people could pick it up without having read... because I know Dragon would probably be pretty daunting, or it seems like it. But I would encourage people to just pick up this issue or a recent issue and dive in and give it a shot. At least get kind of a flavor of what it's like. Because I think it's terrific. I think it's underappreciated and underread.
Yeah, and I did like the Dart backup because I like Dart. Even I like the original Dart, but this Dart is pretty cool too.
Yep.
And you get to see her bust heads.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah. All right, shall we move on to
Yeah, this was an interesting book.
Twisted Savage Dragon Funnies. Cool. Yeah, so like you said before, this is an anthology. A lot of these stories, I don't know if all of them did, were backups in the Savage Dragon comic books as they're coming out.
Yep, not all. There are some that are, quite a few that are new just to this anthology, but Twisted Savage Dragon Funnies ran for quite a while as a backup feature in the regular Savage Dragon book, which I really enjoyed them at that time.
Yeah, I usually don't like read letters pages, or a lot of the times I'll just skip backup stories, so I haven't read any of these before this.
These were some of the better ones.
Yeah. Yeah, but I actually really enjoy this overall. Yeah, alternative, creators kind of, taking Erik Larsen's creations and doing some really fun things with them.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily canon. Some of it, I feel like could fit into continuity.
Yeah.
Some of it is like a complete, parallel world version of the characters. It's just kind of, in these short stories, these alternative comics artists just kind of go nuts with Dragon and other characters.
All right, and it's kind of nice because obviously the creators kind of picked and chose, who they wanted to bring into their stories, like favorite villains and characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, most of the stories are about Dragon, but there's a couple of Malcolm and Angel stories. Powerhouse is obviously a popular choice among the artists and the fans. A lot of Mako in there. So yeah, Larsen's built up a great, cast of characters, and it was fun to see them interpreted by other artists here. I really enjoyed this book too.
No Hortus.
Nobody did Hortus? Not even.
No.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
No, it's very sad.
that's something for Twisted Savage Dragon.
I will say that also. I think one of the strongest things that Erik Larsen has ever done is Freak Force. I loved Freak Force.
We should have an episode just about Freak Force.
It's where Erik Larsen took some of these characters that he's created, great characters like Dart and Hortus, and put them on a team together in this kind of short-lived series that was just amazing.
One of the greats.
Yeah, and it's never been collected.
Comics you've never read. Yep, the 18 issues of Freak Force.
Yeah, if you can track those down, it's definitely worth tracking down.
Excellent. We'll do a show about Freak Force. I think we should. Don't you think so? Like a hidden.
Make an appeal for the collection.
Yeah,
more people need to see it.
They should collect it.